Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast brought to you by myself, Uncommon Fossil, and 10 Types.
Yep. Hello, everyone.
And as of this date of recording, we are less than a week away from Prismatic Evolutions dropping in live. I believe that's January 16th, I think is when it is. It drops
That's
on a Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah. Okay.
A Thursday in live. So, and they did the announcement. They're actually doing a few little fixes and all that. So it also means on Tuesday, be prepared not to play live too much because it'll be down for 8 hours. Because we
Fixes
all
like adding in friend matches for expanded, full expanded,
well, they're
fixing the
once
game.
again they're fixing a bug with Ditto
Oh yeah, the
from Pokemon Go.
Terrakion bug, right?
Which hopefully this set won't cause a new bug in it because they fixed they fix it and it gets bugged again. So eventually it'll rotate and it'll probably never work right and expand it. But that's not the why are you making us talk about live? That's not what we want to talk about today,
I
right?
don't know. Anyway, so let's talk about the battle pass as well. That's related to live, which
Yes.
I forgot. I always forget that this is like a thing for whatever reason. This set, this set's like not great. It's kind of bad. Well, actually, it's pretty bad, right? I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, just hold. So it's a mini set, right? So
Yeah.
it's got, I believe, 131 cards, not counting the alternate arts, and 55% of those cards, is my understanding, are reprints. So there's not a lot of new cards. I mean, there's a decent amount, but there's not a lot of good new cards, is what I'd say.
Yeah, if you count like the reprints are like good, I think. I don't remember what they are, but some of them are definitely very good. But then the first Battle Pass deck it says Flareon EX here. It's yeah, Flareon EX, Evolutions. It plays Jolteon EX and Vaporeon EX,
Right.
and um yeah, and
You get
then
the you get the new EV, the EVEX, one of the
oh
new
yeah,
cards
uh,
as
and
well.
and you got the new no, never mind. So then there's also the other deck is Regigigas V-Star. Um, Yeah, wait, it's called Dragon Slayer. Why is it called Dragon Slayer if it like is a
Well,
dragon?
Well, this is the deck that came in. It won seniors at Worlds this year. I imagine this might be one of the decks that's one of the Worlds decks they produced. So that's probably what it's actually called,
Yeah, but
right?
the name like shouldn't it be the other way around? Anyways, whatever.
Oh,
So
because you don't want your dragon to be killed, right?
yeah,
Um, yeah. So well, the weird thing about that is if you're a new player getting this Reggie Drago deck, you should have gotten a while ago because it's going to rotate soon. So it's not great for newer players. And if you've had your account around for a while, you already have Reggie Drago, so it's not a very useful deck, I would say. That this deck is disappointing. Some other new cards, even if it wasn't a good deck, just getting some cards that people build their collection with and will stick around to post rotation would have been better. But that is what it is.
yeah. Teal Masogapan EX is sticking around. Dragapult EX has two copies of that sticking around, but
Yep.
and some other cards like well, I guess you got Iono for free, I think. So ultimately, it's kind of bad. I mean, it's a good deck, but it's not a um it's not
Yeah.
very good to get. But anyways, that's fine. So the set has, as I said, a bunch of new cards, but the main one, obviously, Prismatic Evolutions, is focused on the Evolutions. So you
Right.
want to talk about those first?
Yeah, so we'll talk with the three attackers from that deck. So we have the Flareon, sorry, which is you get three copies of that. It's 270 HP. I
Yeah,
guess they're
Flareon
all
EX, because there is a baby Flareon and all those as well.
yeah, for all these EXs, there's a baby in the format, except for one of them, we already have the EX in format, so they're giving us the baby new.
Hmm.
But and anyway, keeping things interesting, I guess there. So they all evolve from Eevee. They can also evolve from Eevee EX. We'll get to that. So that's I don't know how good that is, but it's an option. So their stage ones is 270 HP. They're Terra Pokemon, so the
Yeah, they're
whole
not all 270. They have different HPs.
okay. So I
I
misrepresented
think
already, but
the Vaporeon's here it says 280. I believe the Jolteon's less at 260. Though it does have different retreat. They obviously have different weaknesses. So the stats are slightly different, but
right.
in
So
similar
so with this
range.
deck though, with the Flareon, Jolteon, Vaporeon, each one has a first attack for one energy of their type. This is a fire and a colorless. This one does, and that's different on each of them. Burning charge. I don't know if the translation is correct or not, but what it does should be correct. Does 130 damage. Search your deck for two basic energy. Attach them to one of your Pokemon. And these are stellar Pokemon as well, I do believe, because the second attack is all three different energies. So it is a way to power up another different Eevee on the bench. Because it's a box style deck, which is kind of attractive. I like that. I'm not sure how good these will be, but so you have the first attack, and then each of them has the exact same second attack.
Yeah,
Although I think
of
they have
these
different
three.
these three with the same energy costs, exact three energy. It's a fire, a water, a lightning. I think the order they put them in varies because I think it's always like the
I don't
Flareon, the
think it
first energy.
is. Let
Okay,
me
I could be
check.
wrong.
Yeah, no, it is the same. Yeah, because like, and also this is this, I believe the same way in live. Like, your energy is always in a certain order. No matter what the order is you attach it, it'll like go on and I don't know if
Okay.
it's the same order. I think it is, but
All right, okay, so I was wrong. It doesn't really matter. So and it does 280 damage, which of course is a nice number. You're one-shotting those V stars with that, which of course are rotating, and you're rotating also one-shotting other stage one EXs for the most part. But it can't attack the next turn. It's three energies of three different types. So how do you power it up is a bit tricky. We have the Terra, the things that work with Terras and such, right? We have Crispin for one thing. Sorry, and you have the glass trumpet, right, to get energies onto. Wait, is that just
colorless.
colorless Pokemon?
Yeah, so it'd just be the Eevee.
The Eevee, either the single prize or the Eevee EX is a way to get that. So, and right now we have Magma Basin with the Flareon to get that on as well. Um, and then and with the Lightning one, we will have we have Electric Generator. So 280, you can't attack the next turn is okay. I don't love it though, because if you want to attack again, you have to double switch. It is three energies of three different types, so it's a little awkward, So I don't love Flareon, but it's okay. The Vaporeon, sorry, I just missed it here. There it is. That's 280 HP. Its first attack, Heavy Squall, does 60 to each of your opponent's EXs. So that's interesting. I don't know if that's going to be good enough
Yeah,
though.
it seems pretty bad because obviously it doesn't hit Terras, and then it like your opponent probably doesn't like they have Pheasantipty and Squawkabilly maybe, and that is nice. But you're
Right.
probably not attack with it a bunch of times. If you attack three times with it, you might win, or you might not because there's a good shot that they don't have that many EXs on the board. So, and it doesn't necessarily three shot. I mean, it doesn't even three shot Pheasantipty either. So it seems kind of weak.
Right. You need damage manipulation, right? So right now we have the Radiant. What's the Radiant that you move damage counters around?
Alakazam.
Radiant Alakazam. You do have Monkey Dory. Um, I guess you could have maybe try a deck with this and Frostlass, and hopefully that they're EXs that aren't Terras that have abilities. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not loving it. I don't think you are either. And then we have the Jolteon EX. This was 260 HP, so the lowest HP of this set here. And its first attack for Lightning Colorless is Flash Spear, does 60 damage, and then you can discard two basic energies from your bench Pokemon. It does 90 more for each you discarded. So you discard two, 180 plus 60. So you're hitting 250, which is it's a funny number to hit 250, I will say, right? Because you're not
Wait,
one
what?
shotting.
With the witch
You're
attack?
still the Flash Spear attack, right, on Jolteon.
Yeah, did which was 240.
It does 90. Well, no, it does 250, right? No, 180. Yeah, it does 240. Sorry, not 250.
Yeah.
My math was wrong.
And then it also is Sphere Tree, which is nice, but um, yeah, we might talk about that later. There's some weird combo-y stuff you can do with the deck, but it's awkward. But yeah, like a decent attack. It's pretty similar damage to the second one, and it's way easier to
Yeah.
pay. Well, I don't know. It's easier to pay the Lightning Colorless, but then getting the other energies on, I don't exactly know how you do that, but it's easier than getting three of different types onto your active, I think.
Yeah, no, this is the best of the first attacks for the three for sure, and it might be as good as the second attack. Of course, the Jolteon is the lowest HP, so you're the most vulnerable to being one shot. You're probably gonna get one shot with any of these. That's a big part of the question. You're doing 280, but it's a bunch of work to do it, and then you get one shot. Is it worth it? So yeah, I mean you have electric generator, but you can't use that to get to the Eevee. You can only use that for the Jolteon. It has to be on the bench. So. That's a little awkward there. So, you have like the counter gain if you're behind the prizes, and So, but I'm not entirely sure about the powering up. That's always going to be that's well, with any of the stellar Pokemon, right? The power energy, that is one of the big tricks.
Yeah, and you have Sparkling Crystal, which is also that'll help for the second attack and the first attack.
Yeah.
Counting it obviously only helps for the first attack. And then you have Crispin, and there's like different things, and it's kind of interesting. I think you can get them powered up. Also, originally I had said this previously. I thought there was a Tapu Koko EX in the set. It looks like there's not, or I said I wasn't sure.
Okay.
So, anyways, yeah, Jolteon EX is interesting. Also, the regular evolutions, the baby ones, are more or less all the same as well. These were the ones that came out in, I believe, 151, and for one energy of their type plus two colorless, they do 90, but if your opponent's active as an EX or V, it does 180, so that's pretty solid. Their first attacks are all different. I don't remember. They're not like great. Really, none of the baby evolutions are particularly strong. I don't think we might. I think the Sylveon, which is the new one, is okay.
Y-
Um,
Yeah.
but these single prize ones are decent. You can use like reversal, which is good.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a thing where you can have maybe just one copy, probably like of the Jolteon, whichever one you want. It's again a matter of what weakness you want to be able to hit for and such. You probably don't want to commit too much deck space to it, but having single prize attackers does help, right? Forcing your opponent to take 7 prizes instead of 6 to win the game is always good. So, I don't see this as a top deck. I gotta say,
No, I
it's the
don't think so.
so I think they were correct that this is the best deck to give us in the battle pass. Though I don't there's no other deck of new cards from this that really compares to this, right? I mean, like we're going to talk about Budew, that's like a more impactful card than this probably, but it's not a deck as such. So they chose properly with giving us this as the first free deck we get.
Yeah. Um, and then do you want to talk about all the other evolutions now too?
Yeah, why don't we do that as well as the Sylveon?
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
maybe some of these other evolutions are new. I'm not sure. Maybe they're just different arts.
you're talking about the single prizers.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just see if you're ready to go ahead. You can bring something up. So we're getting Espeon, right? That's a new one.
No, it's not. I didn't think it was. It's just a different art. Well, I mean the EX is new, right?
Yeah, I mean Espeon EX. Sorry. So that's one. And this the first attack is Psychic Colorless Colorless. It does 160, and you discard a random card from your opponent's hand. That's it's underwhelming, is what I'd say. And then the second attack is Grass, Psychic Darkness, and you devolve each of your opponent's evolved Pokemon, rather than going into their hand, they go into their deck. So that's interesting, actually, right? I don't know that it's going to be. I don't think it's good enough, but it's interesting.
Yeah. Obviously, it's better than TM Devolution. Like TM Devolution's good against stage twos, or it's also good if you can like take knockouts with it. But if you don't, and it's just devolving a stage one or a stage two that's evolved manually, they can just play it down next turn. So it could be it actually has use cases, but it's very expensive. I have like no idea how you'd pay this one, to be honest. I mean, there's like Crispin, Sparkling Crystal, but that's not great.
No, I mean the work to do it. I don't think there's the payoff with it. So um, as I'm scrolling down, then I'm gonna so the Sylveon EX we already have we already have, but they're giving us a single price Sylveon, and so this one has the attack isn't very good. It's 120 HP and it does 100 damage for 3 energy Psychic Colors. So that's not great. I think you'd agree about that. But it has the Safeguard ability, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your Pokemon opponent's Pokemon EX. Now, right now, and we'll have Mimikyu in format still, which is also immune to EXs. So that might just be better because it's a basic. But the idea of if you're playing an evolution deck, having maybe one Sylveon in the deck as a walling option, that certainly is going to merit consideration, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think it's decent. I don't think it's great. Like Mimikyu's not a great card right now. Mimikyu also evolves with V's, but those will be rotating.
Yeah.
I think Sylveon's a decent card, especially if you're playing reversal. I think it's solid because then you can actually attack with it easier. Will it see play? I think it has a chance to, definitely, but I don't know if it will.
Yeah, I mean, you put it in more a counter style deck, but I don't think these evolution decks are counter style decks. So I'm not sure it'll see a lot of play. But again, you might think about it and chuck it in something. So what as I'm scrolling down, so Umbreon's the next one, I believe. I guess there is no fighting evolution. Is that correct?
No, there's 8 regular types and there's 8 evolutions, but They're different types, or they don't align. So,
Okay.
yeah, Umbreon, what, EX?
Yes. So it's got two attacks again. Like both of them are three energy. The first one's darkness, colorless, colorless. It does 160 damage, and your opponent's active Pokemon's confused. Confusion's okay. Obviously, they can switch, they can evolve and get out of it. So
Yeah,
and
switch
they
or retreat as well.
yes, yeah. I mean, they have to switch, get retreat to the bench, and get back into the active to reset it.
Hmm.
So, I mean, you could attack with something else, of course, too. But then it doesn't matter that it was confused in the first place at all. Um, and then the second attack is Lightning Psychic Darkness. And you discard all energy from this Pokemon and draw one prize. I first thought, that's interesting. And then as I thought about it a little more, I said, that's just not good enough. On a two prize Pokemon, having to get those three energies on, it's just not good enough drawing one prize, I don't
Yeah,
think,
especially with
right?
discarding all of it too. Like, it's not like if you somehow lock your opponent out from really being able to do anything, you still won't be able to take multiple prizes with this most likely because it's so expensive, and it's more payable with Sparkling Crystal. I feel like Sparkling Crystal is, for example, with Pikachu EX, I think it's pretty strong. Like, it allows you to stream attacks. Obviously, Pikachu EX I think is mostly played in the Lost Zone right now, at least as an attacker.
Yeah.
But Pikachu EX with Sparkling Crystal is like kind of viable, but ultimately Umbreon EX, it's an evolution, and also taking one prize isn't that good. Like, if you just attack with, for example, Pikachu EX, you're probably taking two prizes with your attack, and obviously knocking out something.
Yeah, I mean, if you took two prizes, I guess it would be a maybe. It still probably wouldn't be good enough even at two prizes. So I think at one prize, it's just not. I don't see it worthwhile. This is my initial thought. So on that. And then what else do we have for evolutions? We have the EVs. Is that what we're down
Oh
to
yeah,
then?
yeah, that would be the last one, unless we missed
Um,
one. I don't think we did.
yeah. So I think so. So there's a new EV EX. Well, first there is the old EV that we've had in format. So which it can evolve from either the EV or this new EV EX. But so the EV, which is getting reprinted. There's a multiple EVs, but it's got boosted evolution ability. As long as it's in the active spot, you can evolve during your first turn or the turn you play it. So you can get one of these evolutions into play your first turn. Do you think that's going to be how valuable is that going to be?
I
Do
think
you
it's
think?
really good. There's also the other Eevee from Astral Radiance, which says if you evolve one of your Pokemon, or no, but if you evolve one of your Eevees by hand, like from your hand, then you can evolve
Yeah.
that Eevee by, I believe, searching your deck for the Eevee illusion, which is pretty cool. And that's actually really interesting because you mentioned Mango Basin. I don't remember if you mentioned Electric Generator, but that's one. There's also Dark Patch, and these are
Yep.
all cards that can be useful for evolutions, but also they're cards that don't work in the active. They only work in the bench. And this Eevee obviously only evolves in the active, but then you can evolve, say, Jolteon EX that has Figure Tree, and then you can also get the other Eevee and use that ability to evolve one of your, like, say, Flareon EX on the bench, and then
Right.
turn one, and then use Magma Basin turn one to attack again turn one, which is quite strong, though a lot of pieces.
It is, and as you say it, the deck I want to try is I want Magma Basin, I want Electric Generator, I want Dark Patch, I want it all, right? Which means
Yeah,
the deck is
which
just
probably
gonna
isn't, and
not
the
work.
attackers aren't even that good. But and then some of these cards are rotating. Dark Patch is rotating, Magma Basin is rotating, and
Yeah.
that Eevee is rotating. Not this new one, obviously, but the one
Right.
from Astral Radiance.
Right, with the resonant evolution. So right, we just right. So with the one EV, we still you'll be able to evolve first turn, and you can use electric generator, but obviously you're evolving the one the active for generator post rotation, and generator only works on the bench. So you've got you got a lot of switching to do to pull that off. So that's probably not the best play there. But and then we've got the new EVEX, and up to this point, EXs evolve from non-EXs. But now with this EV, because EVs are their own special thing, this EV can evolve. You can evolve this EVEX can evolve into the evolutions. It's got the ability Rainbow DNA. You can play Pokemon EX that evolve from EV. By that, it's just a single prize EV is what it's meaning onto this Pokemon to evolve it. And you can't evolve this Pokemon during the first turn, your first turn, or during the turn you play it. So you can't speed up the evolution, but you can evolve from EX to EX, and it is uh, a Terra Pokemon. It is a stellar Pokemon, but by being a Terra Pokemon, then you can use Noctowl and such with your Eevee deck, which you could do anyway, but you'd have to wait till you get the stage one in play, and obviously you want to be able to get Noctowl before you get your evolution, so you can get the pieces you need, right? So I don't love having this two prize Eevee and EX in play. It's 200 HP, which is okay. It's not great.
Yeah, and did you say it's attack?
No, I didn't. So it does 200 damage for uh fire, water, lightning. So it's the same energy as the Flareon EX, the Jolteon EX, and the Vaporeon EX, but it does 200 instead of 280. You can attack multiple turns, assuming it survives, but it might not.
Yeah, it's an okay attack. I feel it's not like that good, but it's definitely all right. Um, Especially if you are like focusing your deck on those Pokemon, those evolutions. Also, it's kind of weird. They all have the same attack, those three. I guess the idea is like weakness, but ultimately they do so much damage that weakness probably won't matter. And then they're just kind of boring. I feel like. I mean, they're not the most boring, but the evolutions I was hoping for a bit more from them because they're generally fan
Yeah,
favorites, but they're quite boring. But then EVEX, I think activating like Noctowl is a really big deal. Obviously, Noctowl is like a good Pokemon if it's like on, if it can do what it needs to do. As in, if
right.
you have a Terra Pokemon in play. Oh, also, this does allow you to have with areas your underdepths. You could have all 8 evolutions in play at the same time. That doesn't really do anything, but there's a thing you can do. And the but enabling Noctowl is cool because like Charizard DX is a deck that I feel like could theoretically get value from Noctowl, but obviously you probably don't have a Terra in play until you have your Charizard DX in play. But
Right.
now you'll have a Terra in play before you've gotten your evolution set up. And also, the item card Terra Orb is a pretty interesting card that allows you to get any Terra Pokemon from your deck into your hand, and obviously you can get your evolutions, and that's something you might
Right.
see in like Charizard or whatever. But then now it can get you your basics, a pre-evolution basic as well, which is really nice.
Yeah, no, it brings an interesting aspect to the evolution deck. Within the battle pass deck, for instance, they're giving us in that list, you get two of the EVEXs, three of the single prize EV, the one that evolves in the active. So, which is probably a pretty reasonable split. We'll have to people will play around and see what's best with that. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think you're going to want one or two of the EVEXs in your deck, just partly, assuming you're playing the Noctowl engine, you're going to want to have the EVEX, right? So you can nest ball that into play and get going. You don't want to have to rely on getting the evolution. So, I don't, the EV, look, I'm glad they're giving us this EV deck. I don't think they're great, though. That's kind of where it's at. It's okay, is my thought.
Yeah, I was got the Victini then. Let's do 10 more damage. Awesome. Um, oh, and I guess it is a colorless Pokemon, so you can get it with Fan Road. I'm just looking through the list. This place Gravity Mountain. That's awesome. Oh, but no, you can Glass Trumpet to the Eevee as well, which is nice. Oh, and then EVX enables that. So you can Glass Trumpet. You could attack with EVEX turn one. I don't think it's that hard to do. And you can attack with the Evolutions turn one, which I think is harder to do. It's kind of hard to do. But definitely some interesting stuff here. I don't think it's bad if this was like the third or fourth best deck in this set. I think it would be cool, but it's not. So, um, yeah,
Yeah, it's a mini set. This being the best deck, this is really the only even semi-viable deck, probably, right? From the set. So but there are some cards that do bring value, right? More broadly, as well as some cards that I think merit some thought, even though you're going to say they're bad at the
yeah,
end of
they're
the day.
reprinting Hearthflame Mask Ogre Pontiacs. Is that what it's called? I just yeah, that's what it's called. I haven't
It's
played that
just
card. Or I guess I played it in the Ogre Pond box. It's really bad though. The card in the deck. But anyways, so what do you want to talk about next? Should we talk about Budew? Is it Budew time?
I guess it is, right? That's the big that's the little elephant in the room, right? The little egg in the room.
Yeah, which
No,
I
it's
think
not an
is
egg. I'm looking at
it's a
executor. Sorry.
oh yeah, it's definitely I think it's overrated. I mean, I was gonna say I don't know if that's a hot take, but saying something's overrated it means that people think it's better than I think it is. So, by definition. But anyways, Badoo is good. What it does, if you don't know, it's a baby Pokemon, or it's not a mechanic. It's like a pseudo mechanic, I'd say. And you have their basic Pokemon with 30 HP, and they have free attacks, free retreat, and um, yeah. So this one does 10 for free, and then your opponent is now item locked, so they can't play any items during the next turn. And there's not really any form of countering the item lock as far as I'm aware. In standard and expanded, there's like a support you can play that would break the item lock, but I'm pretty sure that's not a thing in standard. So this is like annoying. We've seen item lock with stage ones with Baynet EX and Venomoth, which are both in standard. And then we've
Right.
seen basics that are item lock focused, or that are item lock attackers like Vikeville V, Seismitoad EX, which I think were each in different times like the best attacker in the game. Vikeville V was like a very short period of time, like in this like short time with like rotation. It was weird, but anyways, they were both strong, but they were also did more damage and had support for the damage. On top of that, and also were cards that had higher HP by like a lot. So Budew is not like those. It's not a card that'll be item locking you every turn, but it's more so a card that you set up and like kind of hide behind.
Yeah, I mean, my thought is it's gonna for a deck that wants to go first, so you can evolve later on. Which there's a lot of decks like that. Right now, you're ending your turn by rotoming V, by using rotom V's ability, which obviously you couldn't do with Budew.
Yeah,
Oh no,
going
I take
first,
that.
right?
Yeah. So you want to evolve. You might want to go first, but you're going second. So then you're going to attack with Budew instead, just to slow down your opponent, right? So it's for an evolving deck. It's going to make, I think, life potentially difficult for a deck like Charizard EX, right? That wants to rare candy on turn two. So if you Budew, hit into with Budew. So because like if you're playing Charizard, and a lot of people do, it's popular. It's very good and you want to go first. But now, if you choose to go first with Charizard, there's a decent chance you can't rare candy your next turn, which means you can't get your Charizard, you can't get your Pidgeot EX up. So, it makes that much more difficult. So, I think it hurts certain decks. And it's a card you can slot into a few decks in the Japanese list. They had the Champions League in Osaka. They only have the top 16 reported. But basically, the only decks that played it, one Ceruledge deck, and then a bunch of Dragapult decks played it because they want to evolve. And if they go second, ending the turn with the Budew attack is the best thing. So it makes sense in a deck like that, but it's not in like all the decks in Japan.
Yeah, it's in some. I think some of these are like trying to counter Badoo and be aware and be able to beat it. It was a card that was played a ton when it first came out, but that is because, as we said, this set is bad and people like to play new cards, so
Yeah,
inevitably they'll end up playing cards that are not like people play cards more than like they are like higher than they are good. For example,
right.
a Serial GX was the most played deck when the most recent expansion Surging Sparks came out. Serial GX is okay. It's not great, it's just okay, and that's fine. But I don't think anyone was really thinking it was amazing, and it's been fine. But it's not been the best deck in the game.
Right. And I'm looking here that there was in 16th place a Charizard deck. So what that deck did because of the Budew issue is they're playing two Charmeleons, they're playing two Pidgeotos, and they're playing Grand Tree, which you wouldn't have done before Budew, right? That's not how we'd play it now.
Yeah, I
But
know some people like Grand Tree. I don't.
yeah, I haven't really used it, so I need to give it some trying. But you're not playing Charizard two Pidgeotos and two Charmeleons, right? Basically, that's just like unless you really want to use the TM evolution, right? Which generally is not the best way to play it. So
Yeah,
it's
also
it's
this is a
good.
list. Oh, I just looked at the list. This guy kind of is the thing that annoys me with it's four Arven and only one tool of Forest Seal Stone. I feel like there should be a TM evolution in this list. I mean, it isn't. It's like kind of hard to find your energy. Like you just need to draw into it. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
normally you charge RDX into it, but in this situation you'd need to draw into it if you want a TM evolution. But I feel like that's like super good here, going second. Because
Yeah, I
like
mean,
and you can get value off of the tool because it only plays one tool.
yeah, no, I agree. You have four Arvins, one Forest Seal Stone. Yeah, TM Evolution on your first turn if you have to go second. That's how you want to end the turn there. So, I gotta imagine. So anyway, they did well though. So
Yeah,
5,000
no,
people event
honestly.
came in 16th. So I give them credit for that. So But so I don't think it's gonna. Every deck's not gonna play Budew. What I'll say is, look, when Budew drops, be prepared to see a lot of Budew,
Yeah, I was
right?
gonna say like every deck might be playing Budew the day it drops.
Right. So if you're a Charizard Pidgeot player or something like that, a rare candy reliant deck in
Yeah,
particular,
or if it like say like Regigigas relies on energy switch, um, yeah, there's some decks that just like heavily rely on items, so don't play that right away, right?
yeah. So play a deck like the deck that won was Arcaludon Dialga. So you can get by without the items. You play a deck that you can survive without items, whichever way you want to go. That's what I would probably for the first week or something like that. I'd be prepared to do that. Is what I'd say. Which also means if you want to play this new Evolution deck they're giving us for free, you're gonna have to get a bunch of items to make those turns happen. If you get item locked, you're gonna be unhappy, I imagine, with that deck too.
Yeah, but Badu is not like a complete item lock thing. Like deck, it's not a deck. I mean, you could kind of build a deck around it or pair Badu with some other item lock Pokemon. There was even a new item lock Tyranitar revealed, and so there are some different item lock cards. The item lock Tyranitar is kind of different. I was gonna say I've talked about it. It's my upload schedule and recording schedule is really weird. I record a video and then in the middle of recording, new cards got like announced on a Poke Beach, but then they didn't have translations. So I like stopped recording, and now the upload order is different than the recording order. So, anyways, but yeah, Budew is a card that you could build around, like you could do Budew into Baynet EX. Like Baynet EX is in Venomoth, they're objectively stronger than Budew once they're set up. Yes, they do take an energy, but that's not that big of a deal. And they compare
Right.
it with like Frostlass or yeah, probably Frostlass and do something there. And obviously that'd be annoying to play against. I mean, that's a deck that some people do play, but ultimately Budew will be probably item locking you for a handful of turns. You will be behind, so you need a way to kind of get back into things. It might just be Budew versus Budew. Also, if you want to, like, Budew is super easy to knock out, though, so keep that in mind.
Yes.
You can't necessarily play one random basic to knock it out because you'll be item locked, presumably, so you can't search out that basic. But just kind of keep in mind, there are supporters that can like get you set up. There are different things.
Right. I mean, which is partly why like Dragapult was highly represented. First off, you want to play the stage one. You don't not rare candy reliant. Plus, you placing 60 damage counters when you start attacking, so you're getting essentially one free prize with that Budew. So you're taking advantage of that. Obviously, something like Monkey Dory that you can put damage counters onto it. Um, so some things like that keep in mind. And I guess the other thing is, will Badoo allow slower developing decks a little more viability, right? Could you start the game with a Badoo, slow down your opponent a turn or two, and have a deck that's just a little bit behind things to get going? I don't know. You still will struggle, but it'll make it a little more viable, probably.
Yeah, I don't think Purdue will be like that game changing. The decks I play, I mean, I don't know. I don't really have a main deck, but I've been playing a lot of Dragon Ball Iron Thorns. That's like might be my favorite deck right now, my go-to deck, and that's not really gonna mind it. So, yeah. Anyways, Badoo is definitely a card that people have talked a lot about, but um, you'll have a turn of items, not necessarily a turn to rare candy, but your first turn you won't be item locked. So that's something that you have. Then is that enough Badoo discussion? I feel like it kind of deserves more based on like how good it is compared to the other cards, but I don't really have much more to say about it right now.
No, I mean it is right. I mean it is the most meaningful card, right? Even though we're minimizing what we're saying, but we're saying the impact is minimal. We're minimizing just because it's gotten so much hype that the sense was it was going to just completely change the game. It's not going to completely change the game, but be aware of it, be prepared to deal with it. You're not going to play a four Badoo deck, I don't think, and get wins that way. So,
Yeah.
um,
They
yeah.
were
So I
saying like
think that's
Charizard, like it's not good for Charizard because you're item locked, but Charmander one shots
right.
Badoo. It depends on the Charmander, but some do.
Right, but you got to get the energies in play, right, manually then.
Yeah, one energy, which is like an energy which you need to
Oh, it's
somehow
just one.
find. Well, they're different
Okay.
ones, but there's definitely one that one shots it for one energy. So uh yeah, that might just be well, I don't how many Charmanders are there in standard. Um Yeah, I think there's no. Yeah, there's just one that one shots it for one energy, but it's sometimes played and definitely worth considering. Oops, I closed my tabs. Or I minimized them. Anyways,
Yeah.
so next up, let's talk about Regigigas, I think.
Yeah, there's a couple colorless Pokemon. So let's Regigigas is the better
Wait,
of
what
the
are the
colorless.
other colorless Pokemon?
Well, just start. We'll save that. A little
Oh, that
suspense.
one. Yeah, you said it
So
earlier. It's not good,
so
by the way. Don't be.
oh
Don't.
come on. So go on, tell us about Regigigas.
Yeah, Regigigas is a Pokemon, a basic that has 160 HP, which is obviously high, and it
Yep.
does for 4 colorless, which is also high and has 4 retreat. You do 100, but if your opponent's active is a Terra Pokemon, it does 230 more. So 330, one-shotting pretty much every Terra Pokemon in the game. I don't know what survives it. I think Dragonite. It's Dragonite EX survive it. I don't know. Pretty much it one shots like Charizard and Dragonite
Yeah.
EX does not. I have no idea what survives it. But you one shot like pretty much every Terra EX in the game, and you one shot some single price as well, like those the pre-evolutions to the Terra EXs, and then you also are all colorless, which is nice. It's a really good attacker, specifically in Lugia with
Right.
Archeops, and it's also good with. It's like potentially playable in the Lost Zone. I don't remember exactly
Yeah.
what's been played in, but it's good.
I'm right. I mean, the problem is the attack cost is 4, and the retreat cost is 4 as well. So, but right, you're very limited to what can power it up. So I'm not sure post rotation what you can do with it. But obviously, Lugia is the main one, right? This is a big boost to Lugia. You don't need the Chinchinos to get the big damage up against the your opponent's EX Pokemon. So and it's a basic, and it's just simpler to do. So it's good there. And like you said, Lost Zone. I mean, because like if you're using Crispin or something, but you're still it's still 2 turns like Crispin and Double Turbo or whatever. So I'm not sure how else you're all getting it powered up, but you have I guess Crispin Double Turbo, attach a Double Turbo, and was it counter gain, and I can attack. I'm good to go.
Pre-rotation,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was looking. So Chien-Pao is also like a way you can, or Baxcalibur, I guess, would be the way you can power it up. And
Okay.
Metang. Also, someone like keeps commenting on my videos that like Badoo's bad for like Chien-Pao, but Chien-Pao's like not good. So yeah, I don't
uh,
think it matters about Badoo. But anyways, yeah. So Metang could be used, but Dialga's rotating, so that's like bad. And
right.
then what
You
is
have
next?
Gardevoir, and you have Thornton before rotation, right? So
Yeah,
so
no, I
we
saw
can do that.
Gardevoir deck with Slowking, Gardevoir EX with a Slowking, which like copies attacks. This is
Yeah.
a Blissey EX Glass Trumpet deck with Regigigas, so you could do that. You could just Glass Trumpet right onto it, right? So there are so many
That's true.
options. They're kind of bad, but you can use Charizard EX. Um, does Archaludon accelerate? I think it's only 2 metal Pokemon.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's just metals. Yeah.
but you
So
could Scramble Switch.
right, oh Charizard EX, right? That's to anything, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So I don't know if you said that or not.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so anyway, Lugia is the natural thing, and it does make Lugia better. And obviously, for the next 2 months, then it goes away. But I'm so it will be meaningful, right? Because Lugia is a decent deck. I don't think neither you or I like Lugia. It just feels very high roll. Like when you set up, it's great, and then it doesn't set up a lot of the time. So
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
don't.
don't even think it's like insane when it sets up. It's good, but like it's on the level of top decks when it sets up. And then obviously it's not when it doesn't set up. But the top decks are pretty much always at that level. For example, a card like or a deck like Regidraco and Charizard, probably the two top decks right now, are both like pretty consistent and very strong.
Yeah. So I mean, but it is what it's one of the top 3 cards in the set, probably, right?
Yeah, I think
This.
it's based on plays in Japan. It's second, which is of the new cards. So that's obviously
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah. All right. So the other colorless, which I want to mention, just the Hoot Hoot, because we are using the Noctowl engine, especially with the Evolutions, and there's a new
Wait,
Hoot
this
Hoot
Hoot
with
Hoot's not
80 HP.
good. Yeah,
What's that?
I
Hoot
didn't
Hoot's
even know
not.
what it did. That's so bad.
Well, it's got 10 more HP. That's what it does for you. It gives you
Which
80
is
HP instead of 70.
and it has higher retreat, which are both bad. You'd rather have 70 HP, and you'd also like you'd way rather have 70 HP, and then um you'd also rather have one. You'd also really rather have one retreat, right?
Um, Yeah, the extra retreat cost is not good for sure.
I feel like the higher
Um,
HP is worse than the extra tree cost.
because you can't buddy poffin
Yeah.
is what you're thinking. So obviously, if you're going to nest ball for it, then you'd rather have the more HP.
Yeah, it has an
Um,
ability it can't be put to sleep. Yay.
see, that's what you're worried about with this, right? So now you know what way to play it. So all right, so yeah, no, okay, so yeah, I guess the ADHP is going to be a negative more times than it's a positive. So you just don't want to play it. So all right, so that's it for colorless Pokemon. There, I'm glad you just took care
Yeah,
of
there's
that. So.
Snorlax though. Yeah, the EX. And there's Lugia EX. Oh yeah, this set has like a bunch of EXs. I think it might have like the
Mhm.
most unique EXs like ever or something. But they're like all bad. So
All right, so so this is just Pokemon always prints a lot of bulk garbage. So this is how much Pokemon hates Miltank. Okay, I don't know if you looked at the Miltank
the
here.
Miltank's okay. I mean, it's kind of bad, but it's
No,
like
here's the big attack.
I
Two
guess it's pretty
colorless.
bad. But
It does 100 damage for two colors. For that's not the worst thing in the world. I'll say that. But here's what it says after that, because they think 100 damage for two colors is too good on a basic. You can only use this attack if this Pokemon used rollout during its last turn. That's the first attack for one color, so does 20 damage. So I attach an energy to 20 damage. I don't get one shot, otherwise it's useless, and then I do 100 damage the next turn. So for two turns, I've done 120 damage.
I mean, obviously in like actual like standard play, it's bad. But in like if you're just playing casually, like with the random cards with like friends, it's
Uh,
like it's better than like this. Um, I mean, there are like a lot of bad cards, right? So
I'm just saying. I mean, why did they have to make it? You have to use the first attack for the second to use the second attack.
yeah, I
It,
mean we've
it's
seen
it.
attacks like that, but it's
Uh,
bad. I'm not gonna say it's good, but
yeah.
there are probably worse. I'm like looking for a worse card, and I don't see any. I mean, I see some
It's
pre-evolutions. Does this Sneasel evolve into anything? I don't think it does. Or is there a Weavile that's like water? Um, I don't see it. But anyways, yeah, the Sneasel that does 20 for one darkness isn't very good. That's worse. That's worse. But it's a Prevo. So maybe that doesn't count. But whatever. The card's not very good. But
yeah.
like there's so many EXs because there's something called like the each generation got two EXs. They're not all in this set. So there's not 18 like bulk EXs. Well, there kind of is, but there's like those a bunch of those are in this set, and then also and cards from those decks which are bad and uninteresting on top of that, and then also there is the evolutions which also aren't particularly great. They're not super inspiring. But where do you want to go next? Do you want to talk trainers? Do you want to talk?
I got a couple other Pokemon, so let me hit those. I have two other Pokemon. So one is the Seeking.
Mhm,
Gotta love the Seeking.
mm,
It's got the Festival lead ability. It's 110 HP. Evolves from Goldeen. So as long as the Festival grounds in play, it can attack twice. That it has printed on it, right? You can't use a tool on it because that would be unfair as they decide things. And you get
exactly.
to, but this attack's better. Isn't terrible. It does
It's
60
better.
damage.
It's worse than it's better than I
Well,
guess the
you draw two
Goldeen. I
cards
mean,
though, so now you're drawing four cards. So
yeah, and
that's
doing
not terrible, right?
120.
And you have to have your festival grounds in play. So that means you play it with Thwacky, right? So
Mhm.
you have a nice engine and it's all good, right? But drawing two cards is good. I will say that.
Well, yeah, you'd rather
Um,
draw two cards than not draw two cards, but it does
yeah.
less damage generally than the other one, the Diplin. It is
Yeah.
colorless, but still.
Yeah, 60 is not terrible though. I think 60 and drawing two cards isn't bad, honestly. And it does it twice. So you're doing, like I said, hey, I'm doing 120 damage in one turn. It took me two turns with the mill tank to do that. And I drew four cards.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so
the
compared
awesome
to that,
Miltank.
it's busted, right?
I don't know
It's
about that,
broken.
but you can combine this. You could if you're playing Festival Lead or Festival Grounds, and then you can also play that Hoot Hoot. So then you double can't get put to sleep.
And look, it's not the best card. I think I might have to give it a try, but look, I knew you hated it, so
Well, it's
I knew you'd
not
hate it.
good. I mean, like Diplin's not very good, and this is worse than Diplin.
I'm not sure that it's worse than Difflin. I think, but honestly, I'm not so sure. But I think we've wasted too much time debating which is worse, Diplin or
No, Diplin's
Seeking.
objectively better. It just does more damage.
It does more damage, but damage isn't everything.
No, but the
So
card draw, you literally just said it has an awesome engine, which I agree with. Anyways, so that's
so
the
so
thing.
So anyway, did more than enough on that. But this other card is interesting, and this is Tyranitar EX. I don't know if you paid
Oh, I
attention
finally
to
found it. Yeah,
this one.
and I've seen it. It's okay. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, this one 340 HP, so it does not get one shot by whatever we're talking about
Yeah,
before,
oh,
right?
which only does it to Terras anyway. So
Oh,
uh,
so I'm like doubly immune,
yeah,
doubly safe there. So it's a stage two, evolves from Pupitar, which is what, fighting type, I believe. Is that correct?
yeah, and I think it always is. I think there's some Terminators in standard that are like, I mean, I don't think they're good, but
I think they're different types, though. I think.
I think there's multiple Tyrant. Oops, there's probably I thought there's multiple. Oh well, there's the No, there's multiple darkness ones in standard. There's one which does damage based on damage counts on your bench Pokemon. You compare that with, and then has Earthquake as well for 4. That's kind of bad, but you compare that with Dodrio. And then there's the other one which does 30 more for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon, or for 2 darkness, you do 230. Discard the top 4 cards of your own deck. So it's an okay card. And then there's the Terra Lightning one, which starts as fighting, which you probably won't play with this one.
All right, but so let's talk about this. So the first attack is just colorless. The second attack is darkness, colorless, colorless. So if you want to have some other Tyranitars with other types of energy, you could do that in this deck too. So the first attack, crush 50 damage for each energy attached to this Pokemon.
Oh yeah, are you
But
looking at
that's not.
Pokebeach?
I'm looking at. Yes. Why is the other one
Okay.
different?
Oh, no, I mean the name's different.
Oh, the
The
name.
attack,
Okay.
but no, it
So
doesn't matter.
yeah. Okay. So what the attack does is the same though. 50 per energy attached, but you're probably not having one or two. You only have like one or two energies attached because yes, we do have Dark Passion format, but the pre-evolutions aren't darkness, so you're probably not getting a bunch of extra energies on it. But the second attack is the interesting one. It does
Wait, the
150
second attack's
damage.
the interesting one.
Yes.
Wait, didn't
Yeah,
we
so you
look at a
should
card just like this? Anyway,
I
but
don't.
yeah,
So
but
it does 150 damage. That's not
yeah,
great.
150. Yeah.
But the second part's good, and you don't usually get this. Your opponent reveals their hand, and you discard a card there that you find. So
Wait,
you get
what
to
on earth? Okay, never mind.
what?
The translation's different on Justin Weasel. It says you
Oh,
just got
what?
a random card from their hand on
Oh, well,
Justin
that's a
Weasel.
huge difference.
That is
That's
a
a huge.
huge difference.
So it says discard a card you find there. I assume that means I choose, which makes
Um,
it
yeah, no, I mean it says okay, well I don't know. Anyway, so
Justin
let's just
Basil's site is discard a random card. So that's
yeah.
a huge difference. A huge difference. So we'll have to find out what it is,
Yeah,
actually.
ultimately, if it is discard a card of your choice, that's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately, what you're probably discarding trainers most of the time, so like Luxray is probably better. Um,
But you're doing 150 damage,
well,
which
Luxray
is
EX does
what's
what,
that do?
120 or something. You discard. Wait, what's Luxray EX do? No, Luxray EX might be this but better. Yeah, you look at your opponent's hand, discard one card you find there for 2 colors, you do 120. So let's say Luxray V does you discard a trainer, but Luxray EX is any card, so yeah, I feel like Luxray EX is better. Obviously, you
Well,
will
it
be
does.
losing double turbo, but Luxray EX is a decent card.
Well, this does 150. This one does
It's not
120,
that
right?
much more, and it's a darkness energy. It does have more HP as well. Like there are advantages to this, but ultimately, I think they're
Yeah.
like Luxray EX is probably better, and Luxray EX
Well,
also isn't that good.
Luxray EX because of electric generators better, right? That's why you're saying it's
Well,
better.
no, well, I mean it's cheaper. It's 2 colorless, and
It's
you can
two
play it.
colorless. This is three.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but again, the more HP, the more damage. It's not across the
But
board
don't
better.
you
So,
also not? Don't you also want to do less damage in a control deck?
well, but I think this is, this is
It's
getting
like a
that funny.
disruptive attack deck.
Yeah, I think this is kind of like that Hydreigon type deck where you're trying to take damage and mess with your opponent at the same time. You're trying and take prizes. You're trying to take win by taking prizes with this deck, is what I'd say. But you're trying to slow down your opponent at the same time. Because your attack's not quite good enough. Or your attack's just not good enough. Period. Right. 150 damage is not good enough on a stage 2 for 3 energies. I get that, but look, if the translation, if it's a random card, then Tyranitar is just bad. I would say if you pick the card, it's interesting. It's still not great, but I think it's not even good.
I
But
think
it's
it's still worse than Luxray EX, but
maybe.
noticeably, in my opinion. But
All right, so you kind of shot down my Pokemon here. So what do you want to talk about next?
let's see. I don't think there are any other Pokemon worth talking about. I don't really remember all of them. There's So there's some that were cut from the set, which are kind of interesting, which is kind of unfortunate. Like there's only a handful of interesting Pokemon from the set, and like
Mm.
half of them
Oh,
were cut.
what about the Slow King? You put
Uh,
two energies in their hand, I believe, right?
what's
Where's
the
that
Slow
card?
King?
I'm
Um,
trying to find it here.
yeah, I'm
Sorry.
looking around. I don't see it. I could have missed it. I don't think it's here.
Oh, Slow King. It's a
Oh,
water Pokemon.
Slow King. Oh, what was I thinking? I
Yeah.
think I was thinking of Slacking. Oops.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 70 damage. It's for three energies, but it's a reversal, right? Or
Mhm.
we can use Baxcalibur. You put it does 70, and you put two energies attached to their active Pokemon back in their hand.
That's
That it's something, huh? All right.
Yeah, it's
Well,
okay. I mean, it's not that good. It could be usable, I guess. Nothing particularly impressive there. But we have some trainers. These trainers are okay.
yeah.
Friends of Paldea isn't great, but you have some. Oh, there's a lot of reprints here. So the first one we have is a Maris, which is a supporter. You draw four, but at the end of the turn, if you have
Yeah.
five or more cards in hand, you discard your hand. You can play this with your Togekiss to always discard your hand. That's bad. But this is after prizes as well, I'm pretty sure. So that's kind of awkward because you'll probably assuming you take a knockout, which obviously you generally want to be doing,
Right.
then you're going to draw probably like two extra cards, and then that's bad.
Yeah, I mean, here's the question. I find it really intriguing, but because first off, we agree draw three is not terrible, right? It gets mocked on, but it's not terrible. So drawing four,
Well, no, I think it's bad. Well, I don't know. I think like Avery, yeah, I guess it's like it's better than people like. I mean, it's just making fun of it with friends in Paldea, but it's like it's not that bad.
but drawing
It's
four is kind of good, right? It
it's
could
like
be good,
decent. It's solid.
but I've,
Yeah,
but
if it was
discarding at losing your hand's bad, right? So the
yeah.
question is there a deck that I want to lose, get cards? Can I use this in a deck to help discard? Um, but I'm not discarding on my turn, so you probably just want to play research or something instead.
Yeah, I feel
Um,
like it's really like niche. In the other form, I think it's a card that you could look at as just like a draw four supporter. You can almost always avoid the downside, and then you can win,
right.
and then you can like get value, and then through it that way. I don't like. I think draw four is that impressive. I think as I said, I think it's okay. There's a supporter card Avery. I did not like. It's a card that I think was super overrated. It was it's draw three. I'm just gonna say it's draw three.
No, well,
And
you didn't like the second effect of Avery. You thought that it actually was bad for
yeah,
most
I
of the
thought it
time.
was worse than draw three. And people played it like a bunch, and I was like, okay. I guess
All right.
it
So what it does for people that don't know, you draw three cards on your supporter, and then if you drew any cards that way, your opponent discards Pokemon from their bench until they have three cards. So your opponent then discards their Lumineon V or their
like
like at the time
Squawk.
like their Mew V Max with like 300 damage, right? They would just
Yeah.
get rid of
Yeah, it's
those.
like, oh, I'm gonna heal my Pokemon. I'm gonna discard my Pokemon that I want out of play. It's like if you're so obviously if you're against a deck like if there's something game now, it would be good against Trap Go CX, but there
Right.
weren't really any decks like that at the time. There was a Eternatus, and I guess it was a counter to that. But people didn't play it just as a counter to Eternatus. And people play like a bunch of copies sometimes. And then also there was a deck, Suicune V deck, it like kind of countered, but I don't think it was that good against it. And also,
Yeah.
then that deck played like Inteleon, which is like Noctowl, and you want to discard your Noctowls. I mean, Trapagos, you want some Pokemon to play, but if you discard your Noctowls, you can then recover them and then reuse them. So, and then also like you have your like Squawkabilly EX or cards like that, and that you obviously want out of play. And a lot of times you don't have more than three bench Pokemon anyways, so a lot of the time was just draw three, and that was like the most common thing. And then sometimes if you play it, it would help your opponent, and then very occasionally it would hurt them. But I feel like it was quite bad.
Yeah, look, there were some decks that did hurt. I will say that, but most decks it either was neutral to or helped probably. You just
Yeah,
had to end. As you play live, you see a lot of it's not all you see suboptimal play in live games on a decent amount of the time, right? So players
yeah,
don't know when to make the right play, so they would play
yeah.
it
Not like terrible
when they
play, but
should.
just like mistakes, some mistakes.
Yeah. So people are learning, and
Yeah, and I
that's
mean
all
everyone
fine.
makes mistakes. I make mistakes too, but
So yeah, so look, on Amaris, drawing four is not great. I think, is there an interesting use case for it where you want to have cards in your turn, but then want to discard cards at the end of turn? I'm not sure, right?
United
That's
Wings. No, that seems bad.
no, because they you just want to research again. So it can't
Yeah.
research.
Well, you
It,
can't
it
play
has to.
four research, or you can't play five research. You can play Carmen though,
Yeah,
or Serena.
right.
Serena will be rotating, but Carmen's like
Right.
pretty good.
Yeah. So
It draws you
so
more
Amaris
cards.
is probably just bad, but it's an
You can play
interesting card.
Komodo. Do you know Komodo? Wait, is that the right
I
card?
don't
I don't even know if
rem-
I know Komodo. Oh, that was just rotating. But you choose a card from your hand. This is a supporter. And then you discard the other cards that you didn't choose, and then you draw four cards.
Oh,
So,
okay. So
yeah.
look, I'm
So, what are your
so
thoughts on
just
that card,
which one?
Komodo?
Commodore?
Comparing it
It
to Amaris, I feel like they're kind of
it
similar.
doesn't sound good, but Amaris
Well, why doesn't
is
it sound
much
good?
better. I don't what did it do
You
exactly?
so you choose a card in your hand and discard the other cards, and then
Oh
you
yeah.
draw four cards.
No, that's not bad. That's not bad.
But no one's played it. Like no, literally, no one person played it in Lugia in a city league and placed top 16.
All right. So hang on. I'm looking for the art for this other supporter. I just wanted to talk very briefly. Oh, Larry's professionalism. That's what
Wait,
it
so
is.
so you're just ignoring Kamado? I feel like there's actual interesting
Well, that's not a
discussion.
new card, right?
Well, but you're
So
you're saying Amaris can be good, but
no,
then
I
Kamado
don't
is
think.
very
I
similar.
think the question is I want to find a deck that can use Amaris. That's what I want to do. I want to find a deck for it. That's one of my
Oh,
goals over the next. I have 3 years to work on it, right? Because or
two
2.5
years.
years.
Yeah, more so
So
like
I
two
have
years.
2 years to figure out one deck that can kind of make use of Amaris,
Yeah,
right? I
better
not
than it
like
could make use of like Carmen or research.
exactly yes that I want during my turn. I want to keep the cards in hand, but then I want to discard at the end of my turn. I don't know what that is yet, but it's got to be out there.
It's
That
got to be
idea.
Scoville.
It's always Scoville, but I don't think that's the answer
No,
here.
yeah,
I will
yeah.
bring up Scoville in a minute though,
Okay,
since you
ooh.
brought it up. But where's
Oh, Larry's
the one I said?
professionalism. Yeah, it's Larry's professionalism, which says, where's it? Larry's
Oh, Larry.
skills is what's translated here.
Yeah, it says Larry's skill here. Yeah,
You discard your hand, then you search for a Pokemon, a supporter, and in basic energy, reveal them, put them into your hand. You obviously can't play the supporter. Basic energies are
yeah,
okay. I mean, the Earth Invessel's good, I guess, but like it
right.
gets two energies, and it also like it's a really good versatile card. It's not like a broken card.
Yeah,
And then and it's an item. And then Larry's skill, you can get a Pokemon, which is good. Is it insane? No, it's good. Like Irida can get a new water Pokemon, and that's good, but also gets an item. The item's like the big thing. The water Pokemon's nice, but Larry's
right.
skill seems bad, like kind of funny. Like it's not the worst supporter I've ever seen by any means, but it seems bad.
Right. I mean, if they replace supporter with item, all of a sudden it becomes good, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
that'd be a like a pretty good. That'd be a very good card to be honest.
you'd see a lot of play. I don't think it would be broken, but the fact that one of the key opponents to get is a supporter that by definition you can't play because you had to play your supporter already. And yes, I can get a Pokemon and a basic energy, which I might not do otherwise. It's not. That this is a bad supporter.
Yeah,
All
if
right.
it didn't discard your hand, and got you a Pokemon and a supporter and a basic energy, I think it would be pretty
Yeah.
good. Like not broken, not even like
Yeah.
played that much, but it would be all right. Um, but it's not that. So yeah, unfortunately, Larry's skill kind of bad. And are there any other
Yeah.
new? Oh, there's a bunch of research arts, and then there's black belts training, or what's it?
Right.
Black belts something
Or black
practice.
belts practice, depending which. Yeah.
And there was a bunch of different arts, which is a thing. There's an art for each generation, but I don't. They're not on the set. But anyways, during this turn, attacks used by your Pokemon do 4 to 1 damage to your opponent's active EX before weakness and resistance. This is
Right.
pretty good. Obviously, doing extra damage is good. We have Kieran, which is 30 more. 2 EXs, also Vs, which are currently in the game, which will be
Right.
in the game when this card comes out, but not for that long. And then it also acts as a switch. I think this card's mediocre. Kieran, I think, does enough of what this does, plus the switch. So I think that's better. But it's an interesting card to keep an eye out for. It's not bad by any means.
Yeah. I mean, 40. Right. Kieran gives you 30. This gives you 10 more. Um, some deck in some situation at some point in time is going to want this card though, or again with Pidgeot EX in format, if that's in your deck, you maybe you might slap one of these in your deck, right? um so you can get it the turn you need it, so it's an okay card. I think you said it was like the third most played card from the set. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, and it's an okay card. So partly it shows the weakness of the set too. But yeah, it's okay. And I'll have to think about it in decks, right? Which decks do I want it? What decks do I think I need that extra reach to get into? So I need to. It's a card to keep in mind and try out in a few decks.
Yeah. Then there's a tool called Hobbenberry, which is like one of the berries. I think it's the best one where
Yeah,
for a type, this one's dragon. If the Pokemon this card's attached to is damaged by an attack from your opponent's, let's say it's dragon Pokemon, takes 6 to less damage, and then you discard it. I feel like it doesn't need to be discarded, but it's okay. It can allow you to live a hit.
right.
It's not a bad card, but it's not great either.
I mean, right now it's the best of these tools, and it's the best it is right now, probably because we have, besides Dragapult, we have Regidrago, right? So it gets, which are two very good decks. So you'll get some use out of it. So this could be an include in some
Wait, what
decks.
decks did you say?
Roll Dragapult and Regidrago V Star.
Okay, and there's also Raging Bull EX.
That's yep, I forgot about that. So it forces them to discard an extra energy, which they might be able to do, but then it also makes their next turn a little bit harder too.
Yeah. And then there are 2 A-specs. There is
Yep.
oh, I guess Rotostick's also new. I think Rotostick's seen some play, but you look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal any number of supporters you find there, put them into your hand. It's like
Yes.
Pokegear, I guess. It's like, again, you don't need multiple supporters. It's realistically worse, but it's a
Right.
card. And then
Well, here's the thought on Roto Gear because I love Pokegear
Rotostick.
3.0. Roto Stick, sorry.
I
So
think I don't think
do I
Rotogear's a
put
different card, but
okay, so Roto Stick, sorry. And because I like Pokegear, so if I want Pokegear, but I can only put 4 Pokegear, am I gonna slap a couple Roto Sticks in as well?
yeah.
I
Oh, this
might
card's
just
also
do that.
seen play. It might be the fourth or fifth most played card in the set. But it lets you. It's played in like all control decks because they play lots of supporters or like
Right.
stall control decks, disruptive decks, and yeah. So that's like kind of interesting there to get multiple, which can be nice. And then the 1A-spec treasure tracker. You should train number of Pokemon tool cards, or no, 5 Pokemon tool cards. Reveal and put them into your hand. Shuffle your
Right.
deck. This is
It's busted. So here's the
wait,
thought,
what?
because you're gonna say it's bad. I know you are. So don't forget though, you play this in your deck, and then you play Revroom EX or
Hmm.
Honchkrow V. You can play attach 4 tools to those.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you can.
Revroom EX does right. It does 170 damage plus takes 30 less damage. That's the effect of its attack. And then you get like it's a stage one, so you get the tool that reduces your damage right by 30 on
Yeah,
stage
the
ones.
goggles or whatever.
So now I'm
Protective
taking
goggles.
150 less damage.
Oh wait, no, not
150 less.
protective goggles. The
No, it's not
bell.
that at all. But
Max. No, what is it? I don't remember what it's called.
you know what I mean. It's for stage ones. I believe it's 30, right? It reduces damage by 30 on stage
Oh,
one
rigid
Pokemon.
band. I finally found it. Yeah.
There you go. So, yep. So, see, you hadn't thought of that one to hedge you.
I think I have, but not with this card. Like it's not that hard to find tools anyways. But anyways, yeah. So that's a thing.
All right.
And then there's also the one I think is pretty good is what's it called? Max
Max
Rod.
Rod. Yep.
And you put up to 5 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy from your discard into your hand. This is 5 times the value. Well, not necessarily 5 times the value, but it's 5 times Night Stretcher. Night Stretcher, obviously
Right.
a good card. It's kind of like Super Rod, but to your hand, which is generally better. In certain situations, it's worse, but that like Lost Zone, it could be worse, but generally it's better.
Right.
This is interesting. Theoretically, it can enable big like combo comeback turns or something with like TMS or Garpani X or something. I don't know if it actually has a use case. This card in expanded seems kind of interesting. Like maybe it could be good. It seems more like an expanded
Hmm.
themed A-spec, kind of like Secret Box, kind of like Turbo-y, Combo-y, things like that. So I think Max Rod's definitely decent. I mean, I don't know. I haven't. People haven't really played it. It seems interesting though. I would be surprised if this never sees any play. Um, I don't necessarily expect to see a ton, but I think it's decent.
Yeah, I mean, generally you're gonna because most of the time you don't need that many Pokemon in it. Basic energy, right? Usually you just need one basic energy to attach, maybe a second one if I have like Radiant Greninja or something, and I just need one Pokemon, maybe 2 Pokemon, right? So you're not taking full value, but you'd rather have like two of the Night Stretchers and probably some other A-spec, right? Because it eats up that slot. So the expanded thought's interesting though. Like because obviously that now I can get my back into a GX and some other like, and I can make
After
some
your
crit
opponent
some
Avery's you, you can get back here to donate GX.
See, I can get back my Digigx and my Crobat V all at the same
Yeah,
time.
and
So
your Lumineon V, like you got Air Zero under depth, so you get back like all like your Eldegoss V, your Lumineon V, your GX,
yeah,
your Crobat V, your I don't know, you wouldn't want Eldegoss and Lumineon. I don't know. You get back all the Pokemon, your Galarian Zigzagoon, your Hawlucha, all those. Your opponent just like
yeah,
loses, because they played Avery. No, but yeah, Max Rod I think has some potential in some different combos. Um, but like I don't know what those combos are, but theoretically it seems interesting. I think it's kind of cool in Raging Bolt. I don't know, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, maybe the best case you thought of, which I hadn't, of the Teal Mask Ogerpon, because then you need Pokemon and energies, and of course for Goldango EX, right? I mean,
Oh yeah,
they
that's
probably want the other A-spec though, right, to get the energies in hand. But
yeah, like
obviously,
mhm.
you could argue this is better. This is better late game, right? Probably.
Yeah, I think there's some interesting. Like I haven't played Goldango. I don't think with the new A-spec. Have you?
No, I
Maybe like
haven't.
once.
I used to play a bunch of Goldango, but I haven't played it with the new A-spec. So,
Yeah,
but it's okay, right? I mean, I'm not sure where I put it on the A-spec list. There's a bunch of A-specs that go above Max Rod, but it's okay.
yeah. But anyway, I think that's all for today's episode of the podcast. Again, check us out on YouTube at 10 Types and Uncommon Fossil on YouTube. You can check out either of our channels. If you have a question for one of us, ask us on that channel in the comment section. And yeah, we're excited for this set. It's not the most exciting set, but it is still always fun to get a new set. And this will be the last set before rotation.
Right.
Kind of. It's a little weird with rotation. But anyways, we hope you enjoyed. And as always, we're excited to see you in the next episode.
Take care.